one. Oh, that's right. Guess what's back again?
Low quality music. That wasn't the most high quality of openings.
I thought it was fine. Why? Because the most anticipated event of the year just met up with the most anticipated event of the week. Game of Thrones is back and Schmotable's back on, guys. Sorry for trying to match two great titans of our era.
What a coincidence.
Rude.
That's
rude. I'm Shaking Bake here with a little four-way. Divock, Rainman, and the Pondfather coming back again for another Schmotable. Welcome back.
Thank you. Excited.
Well,
this is great. 4 ways. How are we going to manage this?
It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be fun for everyone.
It's like a 4-way deal.
We just need Lonzo Ball, the facilitator.
That's what I'm here for.
Shaking ball.
Shaking ball. There. Oh, hey.
Ooh,
like that.
Okay.
Like that. Well, welcome into the show, everyone. We're going to kick it off with, speaking of Lonzo Ball, we're going to kick it off with some NBA talk. Lonzo's going to come up. But first, with the fact that there's been a lot of trades and movement around the NBA and some disappointing deals and some interesting movements, there is a couple of guys on this show who have something to say about two franchises who have been told to believe in patience or the process or wait it out until it all works out. We have a Celtics fan here in the Pondfather and Rainman, who's a Philadelphia native but isn't a Sixers fan because he's just a treacherous motherfucker to his own people. But, that's fine. That's whatever. It's cool.
He's the Joffrey Baratheon of this.
You are the love child of a set of twins who just want to betray their people. Congrats.
You're the love child of the Lopez twins.
The butt baby. Lopez butt baby.
Lopez butt baby.
Yikes. Well, Rainman, since you weren't on the show last week, you've made it very clear off air that you have a rant of epic proportions awaiting us. So I'm going to let you start it off. You have something to say about the Philadelphia 76ers and the process, which seems to be going pretty well so far, but you disagree. Ready?
I'm going to let you finish. No. I'm going to let you finish, Rainman. I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah, but let me start. Okay. Go ahead. All right. The main problem I have with the process is that the process, whether or not it worked, didn't matter to the 76ers when they were bought in 2011. Whether or not the process succeeded or failed was not in the 76ers plans. So basically, the Josh Harris and David Blitzer bought the 76ers in 2011 for $287 million. And they knew that in 2015, the media rights deal was going to be renegotiated, and that's basically going to raise their value tremendously. So what they did was they entailed on a process by absorbing contracts that people couldn't afford in their current salary cap positions. So Gerald Wallace, JaVale McGee, Carl Landry, Danny Granger, and they would accept these large contracts and take the cap space and put it on their cap and then accept draft picks in the process. But because the cap was going to rise so much this past year, which it did, due to the influx of media rights revenue, the process had to end because teams aren't looking to shed cap space anymore, hypothetically, right? That was what was going to happen. And the Sixers were going to either say, okay, the process failed, I'm going to sell the team and buy the first NFL team in London, or, okay, the process is going decently and, we're going to continue. But I don't think they ever meant to continue. And I think that's why the NBA forced Sam Hinkie out, who I think was just following the orders of the owners and put Brian Colangelo in. because they were not allowing the 76ers to free ride off of their gains in the media market. They are the 5th largest market in the United States. They have the lowest revenue per fan. They have used dead cap to hold half of their cap for the past 4 years. And they have done shady accounting to pretend they're losing money, even though they've technically saved hundreds of millions of dollars by using dead cap to inflate their salary cap. And they have made a ton of money. It was never – and it's a brilliant business move, don't get me wrong. But for the team itself, the actual process was not meant to bring about anything besides the sale of the team. And I think the NBA was going to veto that regardless, and that's why Brian Colangelo and Jerry Colangelo came in and took over.
So what does
Great man, question. Great man, I have a quick question. Is dead cap the equivalent of – is that like the White Walkers of the NBA, the dead cap?
What was that? Sorry?
Dead cap like the White Walkers of Game of Thrones? Is that like equivalent to dead cap?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. So basically they were utilizing these large contracts that they wouldn't actually pay any of the players, but it would inflate their salary cap to go above the salary floor, which is 90% of the salary cap. And so they didn't have to pay the penalty to their players, so they were saving a ton of money. So they're even though Forbes listed them at losses for the past 4 years, they were still actually nowhere near the level of loss that Forbes listed because their Forbes accounts for the salary cap, not what they actually paid.
Got it. All right, shake a bit. You're going to say something.
So what does that have to do with the process of the team now currently rebuilding around young stars that they've drafted?
I mean, so about the process that was initiated by Sam Hinkie. That's why they're doing all right now. And I think that, Brian Colangelo's coming in and doing a good job signing JJ Redick, signing Amir Johnson, great moves. I don't know why he didn't get rid of Okafor, but his last draft, I thought he should have been traded for Chris Dunn. Anyway, I think that they're doing a decent job with what they have, but they were set up to fail. Or not necessarily fail, but it didn't matter. They weren't aiming to win. The process was never meant to.
How the process is not even finished yet? We're still in the process.
The only thing I have to say to you politely is no fucking shit. They were trying to lose to get good draft picks because no one wants to come to the Philadelphia 76ers anymore. So they need high draft picks to build a team.
Right, but the way they did it was more based on business revenue rather than basketball prowess and the ability to build a team.
That's fucking fine. It seems to be working.
Yeah, they're in a
direction.
They're in a decent spot. I'd rather be in their spot right now than the fucking Raptors.
I think that they ended up pulling it around, and I think that's because the NBA instituted Brian Colangelo. But I'm saying the process, the one that they were planning from 2011, 2012, 2013 was a sham, and it wasn't meant to actually build a good team. I don't care because they had 21 picks and they only actually kept 4 of them. They mostly signed D-leaguers. They mostly signed, really low-level contracts. They didn't actually keep any of their draft picks. They got tons and tons of draft picks, and then they spent those draft picks, and they didn't actually keep them on the team.
They kept the draft pick that they drafted for Embiid. They kept Noel. They kept Okafor. They kept Fultz. They kept Simmons.
Yeah, but they had 21 draft picks in 4 years, and they only kept those guys? Yeah.
They drafted stars too, right?
Yes. Yeah. But if you look at the rest of their teams, all right, let's go through their rosters. Michael Carter-Williams was Rookie of the Year. Shipped him out. Did that end up being a good thing? Yes, but they had Dwayne Dedmon on their roster. They had. Let's see.
I don't see where the point you're trying to make. Why would they?
I don't get it.
Why would they keep these veteran players around? The process was all about trying to tank to get these, fucking high draft picks, and that's exactly what they did. And now they're apparently going to be probably a pretty good team this year and probably for years to come. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, if Embiid can't get healthy, then they got a problem. But
no, but what I'm saying is a problem with the way they did the process, because the process in and of itself will never be replicated. No other team will try and go on this endeavor. Yeah, it was a smart manipulation of the current state of the NBA to get them to be able to do that. It's not going to be able to be replicated because of the cap situation now.
So you're mad because it worked, and you're not a Sixers fan.
Yeah, what's the problem here? It worked.
It's 100% worked. So they just lit a bunch of they just opened up a ton of cap space for years by manipulating the NBA. The NBA got pissed. They gave them a better GM, and the better GM is now turning it into a team because with all this cap space, and they could end up being a force in the NBA for years to come if they can keep all these guys around and they stay healthy.
Yeah, and they can stay healthy.
That's a huge
what they now have money to do.
Yeah, they have money, but again, who wants to buy into a losing program when there are other teams that could buy them for the same money and they could be successful elsewhere?
What if post LeBron Eastern Conference, the 76ers are the next dynastic team, like Warriors level dynastic team?
You know who had a losing?
They could be.
Who wanted to go to Golden
State before
Steph Curry turned into a superstar?
Yeah. Rayman, the Warriors were a losing program. Is that not true?
What was that?
The Warriors were a losing program before.
Program for like 20 straight years, basically.
That's not true. They upset the Mavs as the number one seed,
and they didn't win the NBA title.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was their only success for like 20 years before they won the NBA title.
No, but I'm just saying, for the city itself, for the fans, for having to put up with shitty pricing and all the shit that they had to go through, they didn't like lower the prices. They still. It's a brilliant business decision, but for 3 years they basically just disappeared. They would have been relegated in any other league outside of America, and they wouldn't be a professional sports team. Yeah, well, I know it's the business of American sports, but it's funny because American sports are super socialist, and every other league in the world is extremely capitalist. Even though, because you can be relegated, if your product is shitty, you get kicked out. It's not the way in America. It's collusion and socialism, but it is the way it is. I'm just frustrated.
The Montreal Expos had a shitty product with shitty attendance, and they got kicked out. So,
who did?
Montreal
Expos. They had shitty attendance,
but that's also because they traded Pedro and Vladimir Guerrero away.
It didn't matter what they traded. No one came to their games, and they didn't make any money, and they
except my dad because he
was
went to the Nationals.
Well, now that Rain Man has disappointed me thoroughly, Pondfather, we're going to flip over to you, my man.
All right.
You also have a rant about the Boston Celtics and their process, which all started when they traded away Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett for all those draft picks and have been stockpiling draft picks for years and years and years and are still not going to beat LeBron in the East. So, please, unleash.
All right, so let me preface this by saying Danny Ainge is going to be, or should be, on Hoarders next year. Having stuff is really cool, guys. You know what I mean? Having stuff is really cool. Like, lots of stuff. When I was a kid, having baseball cards, well, more than you can count, is great. But eventually, all you do is you fill up space. And what Danny Ainge is doing is filling up spaces that he does not have currently on his roster. He cannot play all these draft picks that he has, correct? So right now, yeah. Answer it. Yeah. Go ahead. Answer it.
Can he? But then you pick and choose. Not all of them are going to turn out. You pick and choose which one. It's maximizing your potential to get the next big star. So
right. So
and
a few years
ago,
a lot of the other 2 years ago, he was hailed as a genius in Boston. Right, he flipped aging stars into a multitude of draft picks and effectively sort of sabotaged the Nets for what seems like a decade now. He put Boston in the position to be tied to basically every trade rumor and every free agent conversation for the next decade or so. And they also did it without having to tank, which is great, and actually finished first in the conference. with the most flexible roster, if you can point it out as the flexible roster. But he's been stockpiling these picks, and I'm wondering, when does this stop and what does it lead to? Because for me, it doesn't exactly lead to a championship with the Warriors the way they are. It's going to be, as I said, a half-decade of Warriors championships, and the Celtics are going to be the second-best team in the East. We learned this offseason that last year – what?
I'm going to cut you off there. We're going to be the second-best team in the East until LeBron James is gone, which could be probably 2 years.
Yeah, okay. Well,
then
I'm saying
if
LeBron James actually re-signs with Cleveland.
Hold on.
If he re-signs with Cleveland, he'll be 35 years old.
Yeah, and he's had, a better year than he's ever had at age 32?
He also played the most minutes, and he's running on empty. I mean, he's true.
You know who won 0 championships at the age of 35? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. So LeBron, very few players can maintain elite levels of play beyond 35 years old.
Basically, it's Kareem and Tim Duncan.
Okay, so after LeBron leaves in a couple of years, we'll go with that. Sure, the Celtics might be number one in the East. They still don't compare to anybody that's in the West, in my opinion, especially the Warriors. Last year, go ahead.
I mean, you can't do anything about that. What are you going to do about that?
Right, exactly. So I'm saying, what is Danny Ainge doing? Because Danny Ainge, these draft picks are not going to get you, in my opinion, any closer to a championship because we don't know what these kids are. In effect, they're 19 and 20-year-olds that we're basically saying, okay, this could be our future, and if one or two of them pan out, it's great.
Right. So what would you do? What would you do instead? What would you do instead?
So for me, because I'm about sort of this whole thing, like the first time that I heard about Moneyball, right? Let's sort of shift it. I heard about Moneyball for the Oakland Athletics and Billy Beane and that kind of a GMing system where he brought in inefficiencies in the game. I'm not sure that Ainge is looking for inefficiencies. I'm pretty sure he's looking for that next quote-unquote big three, unquote. And what happens to me is that when I see – this is my sort of rant on Danny Ainge – is what happens to me when I see him try and make these deals. They were heavily rumored about Jimmy Butler, right? And as it turned out, the price of Terry Rozier was the deal breaker. Really? The price of Terry Rozier? This kid's not better than Jimmy Butler. Like, for me, he's definitely – Jimmy Butler is better than Terry Rozier.
What was the rumor of Terry Rozier? I never heard that.
Yeah, that was last year.
That they wanted the what was the first pick or the third pick or whoever was going to be Terry Rozier, I think Jay Crowder and Marcus Smart.
Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that they wanted Rozier and or Smart was a deal breaker, and they weren't willing to budge on any of them. I heard it was Smart and Rozier. They were willing to get rid of Crowder because they
needed but the price of Rozier was the breaking point.
No, I mean
that's my point.
Well, it's because they needed Marcus Smart.
Well, that's
good. I think it was a good decision.
Also, they couldn't pay Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley, and they were both up for big contracts. Like that makes sense because you're trading like all your backup guards, and you're going to have to let go of Bradley next year anyway. So, to be fair, I don't think that was a bad decision, and I also think that a lot of the decisions Ainge has made have panned out. I think that Al Horford signing was incredible. I think that.
Incredibly stupid.
What? Yeah. Man, what are you incredible?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, are you joking? We watch him in Boston all the time, man.
Yeah, he's not. He's great.
But he's not going to win you a championship.
But he's one of those pieces that could. He is a great secondary or tertiary pieces.
You're right. He is one of those pieces. When do the pieces all fit together? Danny Ainge is not – he's not doing this in this era of Warriors basketball and domination.
Don't think about the Warriors. But you can't think about the Warriors. Think about
Okay, but if we're thinking about winning a championship, what is the point? Who else am I going to think about?
The best player in the world plays in Cleveland, and even though he's never going to beat the Warriors, neither the Celtics. So,
exactly.
So I agree with Pondfather that Danny Ainge has done a miserable job of turning these draft picks and all of this ability to rebuild and all of this cap space into a championship level team. They are the second best team in the East at best.
Yes, sir. And I'm also thinking, look at the draft picks that he has right now in our – I mean, Jaylen Brown isn't one, but we'll count him. All right? Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Yabusele, Zizic, Terry Rozier, R.J. Hunter, Marcus Smart, James Young, and Sullinger's not on this team anymore, but Fab Melo. Those are the last 9 guys that Danny Ainge took. Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, R.J. Hunter, Zizic is still in Summer League. Yabusele is still in Summer League. Jaylen Brown was in the Summer League, but he's been on the Celtics last year. And Fab Melo disappeared. So
Fab Melo died.
Yeah, died. Yeah.
Rest in peace. I mean, the thing is that I mean, you got to capitalize on the draft picks. There's no doubt about that. But we need to. Well, they need Jason Tatum to be a superstar.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I'm saying. So they need a young kid to be a superstar, where they cannot get a guy who can actually lead their team. Isaiah Thomas is great, and I'm not saying anything bad about him because I love Isaiah Thomas. And if anybody says anything bad about Isaiah Thomas in Boston, it just ends up back to that whole conversation about, well, yeah, he may be small, but he's got heart, blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is that Danny Ainge, with the draft picks that he has picked, it is not going to be anywhere close to a championship contender. I even think realistically that the Wizards are better than the Celtics.
That's not true.
That's not true.
They took him to Game 7. Like, come on.
Are you talking about this year or in 2 years?
I'm talking about this year and 2 years.
Because no one's gonna beat LeBron as long as LeBron is in Cleveland.
As long as he's still in the Eastern Conference, yeah.
Until he turns 35.
I don't think you can. One, I don't think you can blame Danny Ainge for the landscape of the NBA being so bleak.
I can't blame him for that. I can just blame him for all the picks that he's trying to pull into this team. And then to make it worse, so they don't get Paul George. They signed Gordon Hayward to 4 years, 128. And
good. Why would you want Paul George? He's going to go to LA after the season. So you can lose to LeBron. So you can lose to LeBron 4-2 instead of 4-1.
But Paul George isn't going to lead you to the championship either. He already said he's not going to stick on one team unless you're talking about now this stupid OKC quote. But I'm not going with that either. He's not going to stick with OKC.
He's not going to stick with Boston either. So
exactly. So why would you want him for 1 year rental? Why would you have done all that work just to get him?
No.
And then Gordon Hayward became your fallback option. And did you hear Gordon Hayward had 4 letters even written out? He was saying either Utah, Miami, or Boston. He had the letters all written out because he couldn't decide up until the last possible minute where he was going. And he didn't even let anybody know up until the last second. And I'm not saying any of that is Danny Ainge or anything, because Danny Ainge ended up being sort of this factor, and so did obviously Brad Stevens in the relationship that comes with Gordon Hayward and him. But I don't feel like Gordon Hayward is, again, just another piece. There's not that guy. LeBron is that guy.
I think, Pondfather, before you started joining us on the program, I made it very clear that I thought the Celtics needed to do everything in their power to get Jimmy Butler and Gordon Hayward, because just one or the other wasn't beating LeBron. You need both.
And they didn't.
Both.
So
and
this is where Boston gets draft pick heavy. They say, no way are we parting with any of our draft picks for Jimmy Butler. Why the hell not? Tell me why. Is one of those dudes better than Jimmy Butler?
I will say what I will say is that when that window opens, 2019, 2020 is the target year for Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
That is the target year, because that's when LeBron James is a free agent. He's 35 years old.
That's when you're going to make your moves.
Jimmy Butler will be 30 years old. You want players under the age of 30 during that window who will be approaching their prime.
And we didn't want him at his prime?
Because why have him at his prime if he still can't beat LeBron?
You're not going to beat LeBron James.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Think about what happened in the Eastern Conference after Jordan retired. All those contenders, the Heat, the Hornets, the Knicks, the Pacers, they all came at Jordan with everything they had.
But so, okay,
they could beat him.
I've got 5 things. I've got 5 more things against him, right? I've got 5 draft picks that I legitimately can say you screwed up on. I've got Gerald Green, drafted 18th overall, 2005.
2005. Why are we talking about 2000?
Just listen. I've got these against him too, because he's the GM of the Celtics. He can do what he wants, right? And with these guys, with these specific guys who are supposed to turn into something,
right?
They were all rated by the basketball scouts and everything is these guys are going to be the next whatever, right?
So you're just going to ignore he brought you a championship. You're going to ignore that though, right?
Yeah, one by bringing in veteran guys from another team.
But he still had a maneuver for that. He had a trade for them. It wasn't just like he didn't just magically sign all the. It wasn't like it fell into Pat Riley's lap. It didn't fall into Danny Ainge. He still had to maneuver that way and into that championship.
Yeah, and to his credit, he got it done. He got Boston one championship.
Yeah, and almost two.
But then after that, where did he go with all those draft picks?
Well, that's the NBA life cycle.
So anyway, Gerald Green, 7 NBA seasons, 2 seasons spent in Russia. Only spent 2 full seasons in an NBA rotation and 9.8 points per game, right? So that's one. And the Celtics, these are the players the Celtics passed on to select Green. David Lee, Nate Robertson, Jarrett Jack, and Monta Ellis.
Okay? Yes. Oh, those players are just such winners. I would.
Yeah, well, like that's.
Oh, that time we passed on Monta Ellis. Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying.
Like Jarrett Jack was going to lift them to a championship. Look, Jarrett Jack's a great backup quarterback, backup point guard. Wow. But I think one of the.
I'm sure the Celtics rued the day they passed up on Jarrett Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I would. If you're going to complain about draft picks, complain about the recent ones, like the Jahlil Okafor for the 76ers. Terrible pick.
Okay, go on to other. Yeah, this is not.
This is. You got to go to more recent picks than like Raif LaFrance because no one cares about that.
Okay, so I'm just saying, like, again, back to this point of Danny Ainge, when he is trying to – I understand he is trying to build a championship team. It is not a championship contender. If he's saying he wants to build a contender, he's doing that, but it's not contending for a championship and not anytime soon. So that's my point.
Anytime soon. It was anytime soon, like 1 year?
No, like for me, it's next half decade.
Next half decade.
Yes.
So we're just gonna say after LeBron is retired, that's absurd. I'm not gonna. I'm not saying they're not. They have a championship with the league right now in the next 5 years, at least. That's fair because the Warriors look like juggernauts. But how about make an NBA championship? Can we put it at that? Make an
NBA championship.
Make an NBA championship. Not even close.
Not even close.
I would say once LeBron. I would say will have a very good shot once LeBron's out of the picture.
All right,
that will be.
That's your thinking, but as a fan, as I watch them, I'm just telling you, for me to look at them as a franchise and as a roster, it just doesn't seem like they're that close to even being in an NBA championship. I see them in the playoffs. That's fine. You can put them there every year.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't.
Let's move across.
We can go on.
Let's move across the coast to the NBA Summer League because opposite of the Celtics, the Lakers put on an absolute show in the Summer League. Now, you can feel how you want about the Summer League, but Lonzo Ball looked like fantastic.
Yeah, well, he was wearing other people's shoes. Yeah, okay.
Because the shoes have always made a difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have.
He had a triple-double in the big baller shoes.
No, he had a triple-double after he put on.
He had 11, 11, 11 in the big baller shoes.
Really? I thought it was when he put on Adidas. Then
first two games were big baller shoes. Then he had another triple-double with the 36 points and I think in Under Armour shoes.
Right.
I mean, you can take what you want away from Summer League, but for a guy like that, for a 19-year rookie to go in with a bunch of scrubs and put up the numbers he did, it's absolutely impressive. And I think it sets up his regular season for him to be phenomenal.
I think more so than anything, you look at the way he was just passing the ball, those full court passes right there. He was
making, touchdowns.
Basically, yeah. I like that. I think he's going to be
I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think everything that people have said about him being great is accurate. He's perfect for the Lakers. He's perfect for the system Luke Walton's going to run. And I'm not worried about a shot because his shot's going to translate the more he shoots it from the NBA range.
Yeah, I think of these big three you got here, you Fultz, Tatum, and Lonzo. I think you're going to see one is going to be a bust. I think that's going to be Fultz.
Ooh,
and I think
I do too.
I think
and it's because Danny Ainge traded him.
He made bust Fultz, so he made the right choice.
I wasn't saying that about him. I'm saying in that one instance of mine, I can say I'm pretty sure that in this case, Tatum's going to translate. I'm not going to call him a superstar, obviously, until I see it. But I will call him, I don't know, maybe he's not going to be a first-year All-Star, though. No way.
A first-year All-Star? I mean, come on.
Like Lonzo Ball would be, but
I don't think Lonzo Ball would be a first-year All-Star. I don't think it'd be close.
I don't think Jason Tatum will be in the West. I don't think Jason Tatum will be an All-Star.
Ever?
I don't see it. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean I'm not going to guarantee he's going to be an All-Star.
I mean, I do just because I think he's got some of the best. Yeah, I think he's got one of the most polished games coming out of college that I've seen from a 19-year-old in a while. But he has to get off the Celtics roster first, more than likely, or the Celtics have to go through another rebuild, as we've been discussing.
Exactly, and he needs to be a good defender, which he is not. And I think his offensive game is polished, but he went up against scrubs. Yeah, he had a polished game in the summer league. But again, when LeBron James is defending you,
polished game in high school, polished game all throughout his career. So why would I not believe that?
In those summer league games, his numbers were actually, I think, like better than.
I mean, he was inefficient, but so are most people. So the big thing with the summer league is people try and translate it to NBA.
No, it can't be translated. But I'm just saying, like, people are saying, oh, he was making tough shots, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but the tough shots are coming against below average competition. So it's not even like you can't even – I'm not saying it's an indicator of whether or not it'll translate, but
I mean, there's still basketball players going out there playing their hardest defense because they're playing summer league. So, I mean – I would say there might be maybe even better defense you're probably going to see during the regular season in a lot of games.
I think that's fair.
Sure. In the playoffs, different story, but
the playoffs are a totally different animal.
Yeah, but regular season, I mean, these are rookies trying to make their first impression. They're playing real hard. So I think we'll see.
I think. When we keep talking about Lonzo, I see a guy who made average 9 assists with said scrubs that we keep complaining about, and that's still hard to do. And when he has actual NBA level starting athletes around him, I can only imagine it's going to be better. Sure, he's going to be playing against those NBA level starting athletes too, but it raises on both ends of the floor. And if the Lakers are just going to get out there and run and gun, which they are, it's only going to benefit his assist numbers, and his offense will come around because he's a good enough athlete to get to the hoop and find a shot.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize he was shooting 70% at the rim, but he was only taking 4 shots a game. The majority of his shots, which is completely the opposite of the rest of basketball in general, came from the 3-point line where he shot 6 per game. And he still scored at a 45% clip, which is so great. But, he was an outside-in shooter, and he only really went inside when he was in transition.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
He's going to get more pick and roll playing in that system, too, to get to the hoop. And with his length and his explosiveness, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, he'll be great. I don't think he's going to be an all-star his first year, but I think he's going to be a great player.
Well, speaking of great players, there are actually a lot in Summer League. Besides, unless it is like without a doubt Lonzo to you, who is the best player you saw in Summer League?
Dennis Smith Jr.
Heard that.
He was.
It's fun to be right.
But he was just.
Right. We should hold off on the MVP talk for Dennis Smith until we actually see him play real basketball. But.
No, his athleticism is off the charts. He's fun to watch. Do I think he's going to be like an incredible NBA player to begin with? No, but I think he's going to be fun to watch. He'll make mistakes, and obviously point guard is one of the hardest positions to play early in your career because you have to master the offense. But he looks like he has a lot of upside, and he was a ton of fun to watch in the Summer League.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he executed the pick and roll well. He did everything I saw him do in college with a similarly level of talent around him because NC State wasn't exactly a powerhouse this past year. I love his game. I love his athleticism mixed with his actual knowledge of the game of basketball. And that's why I like him to run that Dallas franchise for a while at the point guard position. I mean, I just think he's phenomenal.
Yeah. I think that the Knicks made a mistake picking Nidolinka over him, but
dude,
do the Knicks make any good decisions?
But dude, he
never
fits the triangle.
They fit the triangle. That's not going to be run anymore. It's great.
The triangle. Yeah, now they're pissed.
and like with making sure that now they're going to keep Carmelo Anthony. I mean, come on now, really?
Seems like I don't know. I mean, what is?
I think Melo's still going to end up in the Rockets. He's gonna, if he could fidget his way out of Denver, he can fidget his way out of New York.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Anthony's like an NBA version of Game of Thrones. And he just like he's always like just going.
The Knicks are the Iron Islands. They're the Greyjoys. They pay the iron price to get what they want. So, but they always end up losing anyway because they're small in numbers.
Yeah, and as we say in Boston, they are an utter disaster. It's pretty,
Yeah. Well, what's funny about the is that
wait. Hold on. Wait. They signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to a $71 million offer sheet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why?
They used to have him.
Yeah, they drafted him.
My favorite quote from him is that when they handed him the contract, he said that they told him he has to be better on offense and defense. Like, you handed him a $71 million contract, and you're like, yeah, you have to improve.
That's not an unreasonable request, though.
Yeah,
I want my play.
For $71 million,
who has to say that out loud? Who has to be like, yeah, you got to be a better player?
The Knicks have to say that out loud. Anybody else doesn't have to say that out loud.
Yeah.
Be better at basketball.
Yes.
I mean, the Knicks need to be better at basketball, so they're pretty desperate here. I think
and Phil Jackson just laughed all the way home, though. You could be sure.
He can just go back into retirement where he should have stayed, but
he's married to Jeannie Buss. Who cares? He'll just get high in Los Angeles.
How about Todd Frazier is traded? This is a great fucking day. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, with David Robertson and Tommy Campbell. Yeah.
We're not going to talk poorly of the Todd father here, Divock. This is a safe place.
Why do you love him so much? He never brought you
I love him. He brought me.
He never brought you.
He brought me plenty.
He brought you a home run derby win in your hometown. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
He's 31 years old, guys. He's 6'3".
Ty Lawson.
And he bats .210. I know he doesn't hit for average. So what?
I don't have to take this from you people.
The Red Sox lineup doesn't have any power whatsoever.
He's not going to the Red Sox.
My Jet Lowry dreams. Do not ruin it.
He's going to the Yankees. It's already been confirmed.
Good.
Yeah, we got more prospects.
The Red Sox are the worst.
Well, I know that. I should have put them as my biggest pretender.
Cubs are the worst, but Red Sox are up there.
They are my least favorite. They're my second least favorite team in all of Major League Sports.
Oh no, this is ending poorly. I can feel it.
Did you guys hear about the Rays?
Baseball. What about hear about them? What happened with them?
Yeah, did you guys hear that the Rays and the Tigers are in discussions right now?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with them?
So this is what's being like reported. I guess like I'm reading it on different baseball like Twitter accounts and stuff. So the Rays would like to get a starting pitcher and a left-handed relief pitcher from the Detroit Tigers. Two names that have been mentioned. One, very surprisingly, is Justin Verlander because the Tigers would be able to eat that money and send, and the other is Justin Wilson.
He's a lefty.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be really interesting. How would the Rays do that? They don't have any money. Tigers would have to eat a bunch of that contract.
I'm sure they would, just to get rid of him.
Well,
you send them over some prospects. So,
we've got a whole nother week of baseball rumors and trade rumors coming up, so we're going to leave that to the next show. Here for the night. Thanks for listening, everyone. Check out our older shows all of our podcasts on Follow the Schmo Table. And we will see you guys next week to talk some more MLB trades.
All right, boys.
All right, that was